This is On the Scene, giving you a look behind the curtains of Oklahoma's arts, culture, and entertainment worlds. I'm Brett Fieldkamp. With the rise of public art and large-scale outdoor murals adorning businesses and buildings throughout Oklahoma, some artists have been leaving major marks on cities and communities, even if most of the people passing the artworks every day don't know the names of the creative minds behind them. But if you've seen the psychedelically colorful, photorealistic faces and figures gracing everything from dentists' offices in Yukon and Mustang to the History Museum in Broken Arrow to tattoo parlors and perhaps most notably the Eastside Oklahoma City homeland, then you've been seeing the work of OKC-based painter Carlos Barboza. With a style marrying hyper-realism with surrealist, sometimes monochromatic coloration, Barboza has become one of the most in-demand artists for large-scale painting projects across the state, and has even been tapped for mural projects as far away as New York. As OKC's artist community gears up for September's Plaza Walls, an annual event inviting muralists to transform the back alley brick walls of the Plaza District, Barboza is once again set to bring his unique style and creative eye to the festivities. It's all come together to form an unexpected career path for an artist that originally set his sights on filmmaking and cinematic storytelling.
I never thought that I'd end up being just a straight-up visual artist like this, Never thought that I'd end up being a painter, or I think since I was a teenager, kind of thought I would always go into the filmmaking route. And I did kind of pursue that for a long time. And it wasn't until maybe 3 years ago, that I've been doing murals long enough that I'm like, okay, I guess this is what I'm doing.
Barboza did spend some time in the Los Angeles film industry, working as a set dresser in art departments on various productions, honing many of the same visual elements and attentions to fine detail that would end up defining his painting work later. But it was the appeal of total creative control and the ability to explore his own singular visions that he found pulling him toward painting and mural work.
I definitely like being able to show up to a mural and just have complete control of the whole process, Yeah, I feel very comfortable in the space that I'm in right now, and I'm starting to get more comfortable into it as time kind of goes on.
Part of finding that comfort, he says, is respecting the cultural and artistic weight of the work and how a mural can even help to define and connect a community.
I just feel like there's a very essential component about murals, specifically whenever you paint something in places, where maybe the community feels like they're not seen or they're disenfranchised, but you can paint like a gigantic wall, where they can see themselves reflected in. There's power in that, and I feel like that's something that should always exist.
Those larger ideas of culture and community have begun to develop more fully in Barboza's mind recently as he's been exploring his own heritage and his native nation of Costa Rica, and considering for the first time how those elements can better inform his art and creativity.
Actually, just recently, I went to Costa Rica, which is where I was born, and that's where I lived till I was 10, and then when we were 10, we migrated to the U.S., and I hadn't been back to Costa Rica since. And it was a very profound experience going to my childhood home where I grew up. But once I was in Costa Rica, I feel like there was this little bit of me that was kind of unlocked, where I do have access to all these things in my childhood that I just wasn't digging up. The fruit and the flowers and the mountains and the colors, my childhood memories or the stories that I've heard from my parents, But what Costa Rica is, there's just this whole wealth of ideas that I've never played with to create something that is uniquely me,
With those images and experiences fresh in his mind, he said that he's lately been thinking more deeply about how to push himself further stylistically, even including forgoing some of that trademark hyperrealism in favor of a more fluid and abstract style that can tell a more emotional visual story.
My whole thing is just recently has been trying to find, what is my voice in this medium, and how can I express myself through this medium, because it is something that I kind of maybe always felt more comfortable with the idea of film. It's storytelling, but let's try and do the same thing, but with just one image, and try and get something across that way. And that's kind of where eventually I kind of maybe start to move. I still love doing detail, and I love to just pack a square inch full of information, but I do kind of want to get a little bit more playful, I think, maybe with the work that I do. Because realism is great, but it can only look one way.
Barboza's newest mural works will be seen inside the new Latin-inspired restaurant Vecina in Oklahoma City and the upcoming Plaza Walls event September 28th in OKC's Plaza District. For a closer look at many of his works, visit carlosbarboza.com. For On the Scene, I'm Brett Fieldkamp.